I need to tell you something, not to love, quotes love messages low, my beloved friend, before you scroll away, wait just a moment, there is something you were meant to hear today. Not tomorrow. Not when life feels easier. Right now, this isn't meant to impress you. It isn't a story created to make you admire someone. It isn't another collection of beautiful words designed to sound wise. It is something much deeper than that. Something that may explain why certain moments in your life have never made sense until now, because sometimes the truth arrives quietly, sometimes it knocks on your heart while the rest of the world is making noise, and somehow, against all odds, you found these words that cannot be ignored. What I'm about to tell you may awaken memories you forgot you carried, and by the time you understand why, nothing inside you will feel quite the same. You have spent so much of your life believing that strength meant pretending everything was fine. You smiled when your heart was breaking. You encouraged others while silently wondering who would encourage you. You celebrated people's victories while secretly praying for just one breakthrough of your own. Nobody noticed the nights you stayed awake replaying conversations that had already ended. Nobody heard the questions you whispered into the darkness. You became an expert at carrying invisible weight. Yet somehow, you kept moving. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why didn't you give up when everything around you suggested you should? Why did a tiny spark inside you refuse to disappear no matter how many disappointments tried to bury it? There is a reason that has been following you much longer than you realize. And once you see it, you'll never look at your past the same way again. You probably think your greatest battles were against people, the ones who betrayed your trust, the ones who underestimated your heart, the ones who walked away without explaining why. But what if I told you that none of them were your greatest battle? What if your greatest battle was against the voice inside your own mind that kept whispering, "You are not enough, you missed your chance, you will never become who you dreamed of becoming"? That voice became so familiar you almost accepted it as your own, almost, but not completely, because another voice kept interrupting, a quieter voice, a gentler voice, one that reminded you to keep believing even when belief felt impossible, one that refused to let hope die, one that kept pulling you forward even when your feet wanted to stop. Have you ever wondered where that voice came from? The answer is closer than you think. There were moments when you thought your life was falling apart, doors closed, plans collapsed, people disappeared, dreams seemed to fade without warning. At the time, it felt cruel, it felt unfair. You questioned everything. You questioned your purpose. You questioned your worth. You even questioned whether anyone truly saw the pain hidden behind your smile. But years later, didn't some of those closed doors secretly protect you? Didn't some of those painful endings keep you from places that would have broken your spirit even more? Didn't certain people leave only to make room for stronger, healthier connections? You didn't understand it then. You couldn't, because sometimes life only makes sense after you've survived it, and perhaps you're standing in another one of those moments right now. Maybe you've been asking for answers. Maybe you've been searching for signs. Maybe you've been wondering if anyone is listening to the silent conversations happening inside your heart. Here's something I need to tell you, not because it sounds inspiring, not because it makes for a beautiful quote, but because it's true. Your life has never been random. Every delay carried a lesson. Every disappointment shaped your character. Every lonely season strengthened parts of you that comfort never could. You weren't forgotten. You were being formed. There is a difference most people never recognize until everything changes. Look back for just a moment. Remember the version of yourself from years ago. That person worried about things that no longer matter. That person believed certain failures would define the rest of life. That person thought some pain would last forever. Yet here you are, still breathing, still hoping, still searching, still becoming, which means something remarkable has already happened. You survived every day you once believed would destroy you. Think about that. Every impossible day eventually became yesterday. Every unbearable night eventually became morning. You made it through every chapter that once felt like the end. So why do you doubt yourself now? What if this chapter is no different? What if you're closer to a breakthrough than your emotions can currently recognize? Sometimes the darkest hour doesn't announce that dawn is only minutes away. People often believe transformation happens all at once, like lightning, like fireworks, like one dramatic moment that changes everything forever. But real transformation is quieter. It happens every time you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness. Every time you stand back up after disappointment. Every time you decide not to let fear make your decisions. Every time kindness survives in a world trying to replace it with anger. These moments seem small, almost invisible, yet they are changing you in ways no mirror can reflect, and someone has noticed. Not everyone who enters your life comes to stay. Some arrive to teach, some arrive to challenge, some arrive to reveal hidden wounds, others arrive simply to remind you what genuine love feels like. The difficult part is that you rarely know which one they are while they're standing in front of you. Only later do you understand why they crossed your path. Only later do scattered pieces become a complete picture. Perhaps someone you once cried over was actually preparing your heart for someone you haven't even met yet. Perhaps a dream that disappeared was making space for one far greater than your imagination could create. Would you recognize it if it arrived today? Or are you still looking backward while your future quietly waits ahead? Here's another truth. You are stronger than the version of yourself that keeps living inside your memories. You are wiser than your old mistakes. You are more resilient than your fears admit. But because growth happens slowly, you often fail to notice it. Just like you never notice a sunrise while staring at a single second, you only realize morning has arrived when darkness is gone. Maybe your own transformation has been happening the same way, so gradually, so quietly, that one day you'll suddenly realize you're no longer the person who once begged life to be easier. Instead, you've become someone capable of carrying what once seemed impossible. That realization is coming sooner than you expect. And when it comes, it won't simply change how you see yourself, it will change how you see everyone around you. You'll understand that people carry invisible battles, that harsh words often hide hidden pain, that silence can sometimes mean exhaustion instead of indifference. Compassion will replace judgment. patience will replace frustration, peace will replace the constant need to prove yourself. Because you'll finally understand something most people spend their entire lives chasing. Your value was never determined by applause. It was never measured by popularity. It was never defined by the opinions of people who couldn't see your heart. Your value existed long before anyone recognized it. It exists now, even if nobody says it aloud, even if nobody applauds your progress, even if your biggest victories happen where no one else can see. That truth has always been waiting for you. But there's one final thing I need to tell you, and this is the part that changes everything. Over the last few days, have you noticed how certain memories suddenly returned without warning? How familiar songs carried new meaning? How unexpected conversations made you stop and think? How small coincidences felt strangely personal? Most people dismiss moments like these. They call them accidents, random timing, meaningless events. But what if they aren't random at all? What if they're pieces of a message that's been forming around you this entire time? What if every delay, every meeting, every goodbye, every unanswered prayer, every impossible obstacle, has been leading toward one single moment, a moment so close that your heart has already started preparing for it before your mind even understands why? Because something is approaching, something you've quietly hoped for, even when you stopped speaking about it. And when it finally arrives, you'll remember these words. Not because they impressed you, but because they were true. The only question left is whether you'll recognize that moment, when it finally stands right in front of you.